Hello everyone and welcome. It's Melinda here, and today we're going to be looking at rose quartz. Beautiful, soft, pink rose quartz. I have to admit, pink is my least favorite color. I've never really enjoyed pink. So when I first became a mineral collector, I wasn't, overly excited to add a whole bunch of rose quartz to my collection. However, when I visited our famous local rose quartz quarry here in Ontario, I was absolutely blown away by it, absolutely overwhelmed by it because the quarry is just huge, and found it so fascinating. That pink color is actually very interesting. So the first thing I bought, the first rose quartz specimen to add to my collection, was this little decorative apple. I'm trained to be a teacher. That's what my education, a lot of my education is in education. However, I do have other degrees and minors as well, but because of that connection to teaching, I just found this apple so, I don't know, cute. Go. I was then gifted this beautiful little rose quartz heart pendant. And of course, this has been cut and shaped into a little smooth rose quartz pendant. Go. And then the yoni egg joint. This would be a very advanced yoni egg. It's very tiny. Very cool. And I also purchased this raw hunk of rose quartz from a gem show. The price was right, and I just loved how transparent it was, or translucent. Some parts are quite transparent, but not all the way through. There we go. I love when the train goes by. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but I just love it. So those are the kind of purchased or shaped or formed rose quartz specimens that I have in my collection. The rest is all rock-hounded right here in Ontario. So first let's talk a little bit about rose quartz. It's the name given to a pink specimen of quartz. And it is abundant, common, and found in large quantities at numerous locations around the world. And it usually occurs as massive anhedral occurrences in hydrothermal veins and pegmatites. The pink color of rose quartz is attributed to microscopic inclusions of a pink variety of the mineral dumortierite, which is very, very, very interesting. These inclusions are usually abundant enough to make the rose quartz rather than transparent. It can actually be translucent due to the abundance of inclusions. That's really interesting, and we're going to get back to that a little bit later. Rarely, quartz occurs as transparent euhedral crystals with a pink color. These are usually late-stage mineralizations in pegmatite pockets. The color of these specimens, especially those that are transparent, is thought to be caused by irradiation-induced color centers rather than dumortierite. So because of that, some people believe they should be called pink quartz rather than rose quartz, because they form differently and they don't really have the same shade of pink. So rose quartz is one of the most commonly encountered lapidary materials. It is abundant, therefore usually inexpensive, and it's popular as a tumbled stone, as beads, cabochons, very much an easily found and affordable item to find on the mineral market. In the mineralogical literature, and this is what I found really interesting because this is what I would have assumed. In the mineralogical literature, the pink color of rose quartz has been attributed to titanium, manganese, which would have been a guess of mine, and iron, which would have been another guess of mine, by a large number of authors for over 100 years. So for over 100 years, people attributed that pink color to titanium, manganese, possibly iron. And when it came to star rose quartz, tiny needles of rutile is what they believed was given credit for forming that six-ray star of rose quartz. And for roughly the same amount of time, for roughly about 100 years, that's what they believed. I think I'll start showing you a couple of my pieces from the location that we visit here in Ontario. We get to visit it on one of my wonderful rock hounding tours. Set up a private tour with the owner. It's absolutely amazing. It's mind-blowing. And he goes through the history of that particular quarry and goes into the geological details of the stone. He's just a wonderful speaker, far better than myself. And it's just a wonderful time. And then we get to pick and choose some quartz, which we pay for usually by the pound. Yeah, it's just a wonderful experience, and it's something that has to be set up. So it's something that I include on one of my tours here in Ontario. It is a fantastic time. Last year, the owner and his wife both came. That was so lovely. Everyone said it was one of their very, very favorite things from the whole 4-day adventure. So it is really lovely. So getting back to the science, so it was believed for over 100 years that that pink color was due to titanium, manganese, or iron. It wasn't until the late 1990s an interesting investigation into the color and asterism of rose quartz was done, and it was done by George Rosman, Julia Gureva, and Chi Ma at Caltech University. They obtained samples of rose quartz from a number of localities throughout the entire world and gently dissolved them in hydrofluoric acid that was heated to 100 degrees Celsius. And this treatment was intended to dissolve away the silicon dioxide of the quartz and any included material that would be soluble in hydrofluoric acid at 100 degrees Celsius. Really, really cool. And not that long ago, for sure. This one's got some nice little coatings, and it's like a deeper, richer pink, I find. Like a smokier pink almost. Love this one. Little rainbows in there, gorgeous. So by doing this experiment in specimen after specimen, regardless of where they had procured it throughout our beautiful world, they would find a tangle of extremely thin pink fibers that would be, remaining after that acid treatment. And they examined these fibers using scanning electron microscopy, as well as infrared spectroscopy, Raman spectroscopy, optical absorption spectroscopy, and X-ray diffraction. So they're being extremely thorough when, investigating these interesting little pink fibers that were left over when the quartz was dissolved. Super fascinating. I love this one. I don't know why. It's just a chunk of rose quartz, but there's something about this one that's so charming to me. I love it. Sometimes they just call to us, eh? I know that's a little too whimsical for some, but whether it's its appearance or just, who knows? I don't know. So after putting those fibers through so many different scans and tests, They determined that the pink fibers are a borosilicate with properties that are very similar to those of demortierite. So these investigators believe that the pink color and asterism of rose quartz is caused by these pink fibers that they have named DD demortierite. And so that has become the accepted and true source of the pink color in rose quartz, because they were quite thorough with their investigation and found that all of the specimens that they studied exhibited those same fibers of pink demortierite. Totally fascinating. A little bit striped in this specimen. Really cool. Really neat. This one is very, very, very faint. So the Rose Quartz Quarry, where most of my specimens are from, was originally opened up for beryl by Renfrew Minerals Limited in 1935. But results proved to be quite disappointing. So the company, however, continued to operate the deposit, but for feldspar instead of beryl, and they extracted 612 tons of feldspar in a 2-year period. And then from 1948 until 1950, Canadian Beryllium Mines and Alloys Limited worked the deposit for beryl and feldspar. And then between 1967 and 73, it was mined for rose quartz using industrial mining and blasting techniques, which actually damaged the rose quartz. And just my little guys left. There we go. So since the quarry has been in private hands, there's been a lot of work put into it. A lot of it originally involved removing the shattered material and exposing the undamaged quartz. So in the process, interesting things have been discovered. So at Quattaville, the quartz crystals grew vertically in the core of the pegmatite. The crystals are about 10 to 15 meters across, which is absolutely ginormous, and they have very sharp crystal faces. It is truly a mind-blowing place. You just stand there in the center of it and you're blown away by it. It's absolutely stunning. Just walls and walls and walls of rose quartz. Gorgeous. So mineralogists are studying the reason for the extremely large crystals at this location, as well as the source of the pink color in this particular quartz. So the Quattaville deposit is thought to be colored by light interacting with the tiny fibrous crystals of demortierite. Again, that's aluminum borosilicate mineral. So much like the discovery of the other rose quartz that had been done in the late 1990s at Caltech, this Ontario rose quartz is also colored pink by the microscopic inclusions of pink needles of demortierite. Really, really cool. I just find that so utterly fascinating. I really would have guessed that it was just like iron or manganese or something. That is too cool. Absolutely cool. So at this particular location, phosphorus is in the quartz, so some people believe this may also be a factor in producing that pink color. As well, the presence of fluorine in the melt may have encouraged the growth of these giant quartz crystals. So those are some of the theories that have been put out there. It's a very cool place that is definitely worth at least one visit in a lifetime. Very cool. Nice little rainbow in there. Beautiful. I love that. Little fractures or turns into beautiful rainbows. And the last little piece. You can see that conchoidal fracturing all over. Stunning. Too cool. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. I found it so fascinating, you know, finding out what produces that beautiful pink color. And if you didn't already know, I hope you find that really interesting as well. Yeah, so thanks again for stopping by, guys. See you next time.